The teeny tiny teacher. Once upon a time, there was a teeny tiny teacher who taught in a teeny tiny school in a teeny tiny town. One teeny tiny morning, after taking the teeny tiny attendance and singing teeny tiny morning songs, the teeny tiny teacher said, "Who would like to take a teeny tiny walk?" "Me," called the teeny tiny students in their teeny tiny voices. Wow. The teeny tiny students put on their teeny tiny coats and their teeny tiny hats. They made two teeny tiny lines holding teeny tiny hands as they walked to a teeny tiny park. At the teeny tiny park, they found many teeny tiny things. Teeny tiny leaves, teeny tiny sticks, teeny tiny rocks, teeny tiny feathers, and the teeny tiny teacher found a teeny tiny bone. "I will save this teeny tiny bone for our teeny tiny science lesson," said the teeny tiny teacher to her teeny tiny self. She put the teeny tiny bone into her teeny tiny pocket. When the teeny tiny class got back to their teeny tiny room, they hung their teeny tiny coats and their teeny tiny hats in the teeny tiny cubbies. The teeny tiny teacher forgot all about the teeny tiny bone in her teeny tiny pocket. "Who is ready for a teeny tiny snack?" asked the teeny tiny teacher. "We are," said the teeny tiny students. While the teeny tiny teacher was filling teeny tiny cups with juice, a teeny tiny voice whispered, "Give me my bone." What? The teeny tiny teacher smiled, thinking a teeny tiny student was playing a trick on her. "Someone is being silly," said the teacher. Then she handed out cups of juice and passed around teeny tiny cookies. The students were enjoying their snack when the voice said, a teeny tiny bit louder, "Give me my bone." Who's saying that? The teeny tiny students were a teeny tiny bit frightened. They spilled their cups of juice and dropped their cookies all over the floor. "Someone's being more than a little bit silly now," said the teacher, with her hands on her hips. Teeny tiny students who have something to say must raise their hand. And the teeny tiny student raised her teeny tiny hand and said, "The teeny tiny voice came from our teeny tiny closet. Teeny tiny closets do not talk," said the teeny tiny teacher. Then she helped her teeny tiny students clean up the teeny tiny room. This is silly. When the teeny tiny room was a teeny tiny bit tidy, the teeny tiny teacher said, "Who would like to help me write a teeny tiny story about our walk?" "Me," said the students. They were taking turns telling the teeny tiny teacher what to write when the teeny tiny closet started to shake and rattle, and the teeny tiny voice called out a teeny tiny bit louder. And what did the voice say, guys? Who remembers? "Give me my bone." Now the teeny tiny students and the teeny tiny teacher were a teeny tiny bit frightened. They hid under their teeny tiny desks. They had been hiding just a teeny tiny time when the teeny tiny voice called out a teeny tiny bit louder than before. "Give me my bone." This made the teacher and her students a little bit more frightened, So they hid a bit further under their desk. They were shivering and shaking when the teeny tiny voice called out again, a teeny tiny bit louder. Give me my bone! The teeny tiny teacher was not about to let a teeny tiny voice frighten her teeny tiny students another teeny minute more. So she popped up from her teeny tiny desk and shouted in her loudest teeny tiny voice, "Take your bone!" This book is silly. After that, the teeny tiny teacher and her teeny tiny students never heard the teeny tiny voice again. That is silly. And that is a teeny tiny end. Look, there's a doggy with his bone. That was silly.